In a world where information flows faster than ever before, something troubling has happened. We've come to glorify stupidity in ways that are hard to ignore. Social media, reality TV, viral videos, these are the things we celebrate. The more outrageous, the more mindless, the better. But have you ever wondered why this is happening? Why are we, as a society, gravitating towards shallow knowledge and instant gratification? It's as though, somewhere along the way, we lost sight of the value of deep thinking and genuine intelligence. Take a moment to think about the last time you saw a heated argument online. It was probably more about who could shout the loudest than who could make the best point. In today's world, winning an argument has become a symbol of intelligence. But is it really? When did being right, or having the loudest opinion, become more important than taking the time to listen, reflect, and understand? It's as if society has replaced real wisdom with the fleeting satisfaction of being noticed. The glorification of stupidity has seeped into all corners of our lives. It's not just the influencers or celebrities who pander to the lowest common denominator. It's in our schools, our workplaces, and even our homes. We're constantly surrounded by quick fixes, 10-minute tutorials, life hacks, and shallow self-help advice, all of which promise easy answers to complex questions. But real wisdom isn't found in shortcuts. It's found in the hard work of understanding, questioning, and growing. Unfortunately, the modern world often rewards the quick and the shallow over the thoughtful and the profound. This is why we must ask, what happened to the reverence for intelligence, for critical thinking, for the slow, steady pursuit of knowledge? Today, we are told that success is about looking good, saying the right things, and getting attention. But true wisdom, true intelligence, is about much more than that. It's about depth. It's about understanding the complexities of the world and not rushing to conclusions. It's about the courage to think for yourself, even when everyone else is following the crowd. We live in a time when being noticed seems to matter more than being understood. But maybe it's time to change that narrative. Maybe it's time we start glorifying wisdom again. Wisdom, once revered as the highest form of human understanding, has slowly been replaced by a culture of immediacy and convenience. In a world where success is often measured by surface-level appearances, wisdom is often seen as outdated, too slow, or irrelevant. But what exactly is wisdom? At its core, wisdom is the ability to make sound judgments based on knowledge, experience, and reflection. It is not just about knowing facts. It is about understanding the deeper truths of life and navigating the complexities of the human experience with clarity. Wisdom requires patience, a willingness to listen, and the humility to learn from mistakes. It's a slow, steady process built over time through introspection and an openness to growth. Yet in today's fast-paced world, this kind of wisdom is becoming harder to find. The rise of technology, social media, and instant access to information has created a culture that prizes speed over depth. People are no longer willing to take the time to think deeply or reflect on their actions. Instead, we are bombarded with endless streams of content, each piece more sensationalized than the last. Headlines are designed to grab attention, not provoke thought. Soundbites replace thoughtful analysis, and opinions are formed based on the loudest voices rather than the most informed ones. In this environment, true wisdom struggles to be heard. One of the most troubling aspects of this shift is the way in which wisdom has been relegated to the sidelines. The internet, for all its potential to spread knowledge, has also made it easier for misinformation to flourish. In the pursuit of quick clicks and viral moments, we've lost sight of the value of informed, thoughtful discourse. It's not enough to just know the facts. We need to be able to understand them in context, to engage with them critically, and to use them to improve our lives and our world. But in a society that prizes speed over depth, there is little room for the kind of slow, methodical thinking that wisdom requires. The death of wisdom is not a sudden event. It's a gradual erosion of the values that once upheld it. It's a world where people are more likely to post a quick opinion on Twitter than engage in a thoughtful conversation. It's a world where shallow debates replace meaningful dialogue, and where the loudest, most extreme voices often drown out the quieter, more reasoned ones. Wisdom, in this sense, has been replaced by noise. The true art of listening, of sitting with discomfort and uncertainty, of questioning one's own assumptions. All of these have been undermined by the rush to be heard, to be noticed, to be validated. But this does not mean that wisdom is gone. It's still there, waiting for us to reclaim it. The key is to resist the temptation to get caught up in the noise. It's about choosing to invest our time and energy in pursuits that foster deep understanding. It's about seeking out knowledge, not for the sake of popularity, but for the sake of personal growth and self-improvement. Wisdom isn't something that can be handed to us. It's something we must actively seek and cultivate. It requires discipline, focus, and the courage to step back from the chaos and reflect on what truly matters. In a world that seems increasingly obsessed with the superficial and the immediate, wisdom offers a rare and invaluable opportunity for those willing to pursue it. It challenges us to think critically, to question the status quo, and to engage in conversations that have the potential to transform our lives. Wisdom is not about being right all the time. It's about being open to learning, to growing, and to evolving. It's about living with integrity, understanding the complexities of the human condition, and navigating the world with humility and grace. Reclaiming wisdom is not just an intellectual exercise, it's a moral imperative. In a time when society often rewards ignorance and rewards speed over accuracy, it is up to each of us to hold on to the values that make wisdom not only possible, but essential. As we navigate the modern world, we must ask ourselves, do we want to be part of the noise, or do we want to be part of the solution? Do we want to glorify the shallow and the fleeting, or do we want to celebrate the deep, meaningful pursuit of understanding that has the power to transform our lives and our world? The choice is ours, and the time to reclaim wisdom is now. In today's fast-paced world, instant gratification has become the new norm, and it is fundamentally reshaping the way we engage with knowledge and ideas. The digital age has conditioned us to expect immediate rewards for minimal effort. From scrolling through social media feeds for a quick laugh to watching a 30-second video for the next viral trend, we are constantly chasing the next dopamine hit. This environment encourages us to consume information quickly without taking the time to digest or reflect on it. As a result, deep thought and reflection, once central to human wisdom, have been replaced by the allure of instant fixes. The need for instant answers is pervasive in almost every aspect of our lives. We no longer have to wait to learn something. A simple Google search or a few taps on our smartphones can give us the answer in seconds. While this may seem convenient, it often comes at the cost of depth and understanding. We are bombarded with snippets of information that provide quick solutions, but lack the nuance and complexity that true knowledge requires. We are told that the quicker we learn, the more successful we will be. But what we fail to recognize is that real wisdom isn't found in quick fixes. It's found in the slow, deliberate process of learning and reflecting. This shift toward instant gratification also affects our ability to think critically. Critical thinking requires time and space to assess information, question assumptions, and consider multiple perspectives. Yet in a world that prioritizes speed, there is little room for these kinds of deep cognitive processes. Instead of taking the time to understand a complex issue, we often settle for oversimplified answers that fit neatly into sound bites and headlines. This trend not only diminishes our ability to think critically, but also undermines our capacity to engage with difficult or uncomfortable truths. We've become so accustomed to the convenience of quick solutions that we often avoid the discomfort of challenging our own beliefs and assumptions. In many ways, our addiction to instant gratification is a reflection of our culture's growing impatience with complexity. We want things to be simple, easy, and fast, even when the issues we face are anything but. The rise of clickbait articles and viral videos reflects this desire for quick, easily digestible content, while the slower, more thoughtful forms of communication, like books, essays, or in-depth discussions, often struggle to keep our attention. This shift in how we engage with information is not just a matter of convenience. It is a cultural shift that has real consequences for how we think and interact with the world. However, this isn't just about technology. It's also about a fundamental change in how we view learning and intellectual engagement. In a world where instant gratification reigns supreme, many of us have come to believe that we should be able to learn quickly and effortlessly. We have come to expect that mastery of a subject should come easily. But true learning requires time, effort, and a willingness to struggle with uncertainty. The path to wisdom is not always straightforward or fast. It involves confronting uncomfortable truths. In the modern world, knowledge has increasingly become a commodity, something to be bought, sold, and consumed at a rapid pace. Information is no longer something we earn through deep study or lived experience. It's something we acquire through a simple search or a quick read. This commodification of knowledge has far-reaching consequences, as it encourages us to treat learning as a transaction rather than a transformation. We want answers now, without the effort of grappling with difficult ideas or expanding our understanding. Instead of engaging with material that challenges us, we often seek out content that validates our existing beliefs, feeding our egos rather than encouraging personal growth. This trend can be seen across every platform, from educational websites to social media feeds. We are encouraged to absorb information quickly, to gain knowledge through easily digestible bits, and to move on to the next topic. There's little time left for deep reflection, and even less space for complex ideas that don't fit neatly into a headline or soundbite. In this environment, true wisdom has been pushed to the margins. Wisdom isn't about knowing a quick fact or finding an answer that suits our immediate needs. It's about understanding the context, the bigger picture, and the deeper truths that cannot be reduced to simple one-liners. The rise of self-help culture has played a role in this commodification. Books and videos promise quick fixes and easy solutions to life's most complex problems. They offer 5-step plans to success, 10 rules for happiness, and shortcuts to personal growth. But real personal growth is not something that can be achieved through shortcuts. It's not something that can be packaged into a neat set of steps or a 30-minute webinar. Wisdom comes from experience, from learning how to navigate life's challenges with patience, humility, and resilience. It requires us to face adversity and uncertainty head-on, to embrace complexity, and to be willing to question our own assumptions. Wisdom is not something that can be bought. It must be earned through thoughtful engagement with the world. In many ways, the commodification of knowledge has made it easier for us to avoid the difficult work of self-reflection and growth. Instead of confronting our weaknesses, our fears, or our doubts, we turn to external sources for quick answers. This reliance on external validation, whether from experts, celebrities, or social media influencers, has created a culture where knowledge is no longer something we develop for ourselves, but something we consume passively. The result is a society that values surface-level information over depth, appearance over substance, and speed over deliberation. This shift is not just a matter of convenience or technological advancement. It's a reflection of a deeper cultural change, a shift away from valuing wisdom and expertise and toward a preference for instant answers and easy solutions. The rise of the guru culture and the obsession with celebrity knowledge can be seen as symptoms of this trend. In a world where everyone can be an expert, no one truly is. We live in a time where the loudest voices, those with the biggest platforms, often drown out the more thoughtful, nuanced perspectives that require time and effort to fully appreciate. This is a world where people are more likely to follow a viral influencer than a scholar, more likely to trust a headline than a deep dive into research. The consequences of this commodification are far-reaching. When knowledge becomes a product to be consumed and discarded, we lose the opportunity to engage with it meaningfully. We lose the chance to build a genuine understanding of the world and our place in it. Instead of using knowledge to cultivate wisdom and personal growth, we use it to boost our self-image, to reinforce our biases, and to avoid the discomfort of confronting our own limitations. In a world that values efficiency over depth, it's easy to forget that the most profound knowledge often takes the longest to acquire. Wisdom is not found in quick answers, but in the slow, deliberate process of questioning, reflecting, and learning. It requires us to sit with uncertainty, to embrace complexity, and to resist the urge to take shortcuts. Wisdom is not something we can consume. It is something we must cultivate day by day through thoughtful engagement with the world and a willingness to confront our own flaws. As we move forward in this era of commodified knowledge, we must ask ourselves, are we willing to go beyond the surface? Are we willing to engage with the world in a deeper, more meaningful way? The commodification of knowledge may have made it easier for us to access information, but it has also made it more difficult for us to truly understand it. To reclaim wisdom, we must resist the temptation to take shortcuts and instead commit ourselves to the slow, often uncomfortable work of intellectual growth. The celebration of ignorance in today's world is one of the most striking and disturbing trends of modern society. Over the years, we've seen the rise of anti-intellectualism, where being uninformed or even proud of it has become a form of rebellion. In this era, the more outrageous, the more uninformed, the better. Popular culture, media, and even politics seem to be rewarding ignorance while silencing those who dare to think deeply. The loudest voices are often the most uninformed, and those who choose to speak with thoughtfulness or reason are often drowned out by the noise of sensationalism. Take a moment to consider how often we see celebrities, influencers, and public figures whose expertise is questionable, yet they are celebrated and followed by millions. Their power doesn't lie in the depth of their knowledge, but in their ability to entertain, provoke, and draw attention. In a society that prizes superficiality, the ability to be seen and heard has become more valuable than the ability to think critically or speak knowledgeably. This glorification of ignorance has a profound impact on the way we view intelligence and wisdom. It's as if knowledge itself has been diminished to a commodity, something to be flaunted for a quick burst of attention rather than something to be respected and pursued for the long term. The rise of this anti-intellectual culture has consequences that extend far beyond the entertainment industry. We see it in the world of politics, where sound bites and emotional appeals are often more influential than reasoned arguments and factual evidence. People are drawn to leaders who speak to their emotions and fears, rather than those who offer thoughtful, well-reasoned solutions to complex issues. The result is a society that increasingly values style over substance, where opinions are formed based on emotions, biases, and the loudest voices rather than facts and thoughtful deliberation. This shift also affects our daily lives. When we become accustomed to the idea that ignorance is something to be celebrated, we begin to see intelligence as something elitist or out of touch with the real world. The idea of questioning, reflecting and seeking deeper understanding is dismissed as being impractical or unnecessary. In conversations, it's often easier to stay silent or give a quick, surface-level opinion than to take the time to truly think through an issue or engage in meaningful dialogue. We see this in workplaces, schools, and social settings, where people are more likely to follow the crowd than speak out against the status quo. In a world where being informed requires effort, ignorance becomes the easier and more comfortable path. However, this trend is not just about ignorance in the traditional sense, it's also about how we use our knowledge. When we start glorifying ignorance, we stop using knowledge in ways that benefit ourselves and society. Knowledge is not just something to be accumulated for its own sake. It's a tool for growth, understanding, and change. But when knowledge becomes something that is merely consumed or displayed for approval, it loses its transformative power. The true value of knowledge lies in its application, in how it shapes our actions, decisions, and interactions with others. The question we must ask ourselves is, why have we allowed ignorance to be celebrated while wisdom and critical thinking are dismissed as unnecessary? Why is it that the loudest voices, often the most uninformed, are the ones that are given the most attention? And how can we shift the narrative back toward valuing depth, understanding, and thoughtful engagement? One of the most important steps in reversing this trend is to recognize that wisdom and intelligence are not about being better than others, but about making informed choices, understanding the complexities of life, and striving to be better versions of ourselves. It's about engaging with the world with curiosity, humility, and an openness to learning. The truly intelligent person does not seek validation through popularity or attention. They seek to understand the world more deeply, to challenge their own assumptions, and to contribute to the collective wisdom of society. Reclaiming wisdom means rejecting the easy path of ignorance and choosing instead to engage in the hard work of learning, thinking critically, and questioning our beliefs. It means refusing to settle for the surface-level answers that are so readily available, and instead seeking out the deeper truths that can only be found through careful reflection and thoughtful conversation. The glorification of ignorance is not just a cultural trend, it is a challenge to our collective growth and progress. But if we are willing to resist the temptation to take the easy route and commit ourselves to the pursuit of wisdom, we can begin to change the narrative and build a society that values intelligence, depth, and meaningful engagement. Reclaiming wisdom in today's world requires a deliberate shift in focus, a move away from the distractions of modern life that constantly demand our attention and toward a more thoughtful, intentional approach to learning and growth. We live in an age where information is more accessible than ever, yet true understanding seems to be increasingly rare. The speed at which we consume knowledge has overshadowed the depth of comprehension. But if we want to reclaim wisdom, we must be willing to step back from the noise and distractions and devote ourselves to cultivating inner strength and intellectual resilience. The first step in reclaiming wisdom is to commit to self-awareness. Too often we rush to conclusions or react impulsively without considering the underlying assumptions that shape our beliefs and actions. Self-awareness involves taking the time to reflect on our thoughts, our biases, and our motivations. It means being honest with ourselves about our strengths and weaknesses and acknowledging the areas in our lives where we may be lacking understanding. Wisdom cannot flourish in an environment where we are unwilling to examine ourselves, where we avoid uncomfortable truths or fail to question our own assumptions. Only through honest self-reflection can we begin the process of self-improvement. In personal growth, The next step is to embrace the idea of lifelong learning. Wisdom is not something that can be acquired once and for all. It's a lifelong pursuit. We must be open to learning from every experience, every encounter, and every challenge. This requires a willingness to admit that we do not have all the answers and that there is always more to learn. It also means seeking out knowledge that challenges our existing beliefs and forces us to think critically. Wisdom is born from the tension between what we know and what we are willing to learn. When we become comfortable in our ignorance and stop seeking out new perspectives, we stagnate. But when we approach life with curiosity and a desire to grow, we open ourselves up to new ideas, deeper insights, and the wisdom that comes with them. Patience is also a crucial ingredient in the pursuit of wisdom. In a world that values speed, we are often in a hurry to reach conclusions or find quick solutions. Yet wisdom requires time and effort. It's about developing the discipline to sit with uncertainty, to grapple with complexity, and to resist the temptation to rush through important decisions. Wisdom is found not in immediate answers, but in the slow, deliberate process of considering all perspectives, reflecting on one's own experiences, and weighing the consequences of our choices. When we rush, we risk missing the lessons that come from taking our time and thinking things through. In the same way, the pursuit of wisdom often requires us to slow down, to pause and reflect, rather than rushing to conclusions. Another critical element in reclaiming wisdom is the ability to listen and engage with others. Wisdom is not something that exists in isolation. It's something that grows through dialogue, collaboration, and exchange. It's about listening to those with different perspectives, learning from their experiences, and challenging our own viewpoints in the process. Far too often in today's world, we are more focused on being heard than on listening. We interrupt, we argue, and we shut down differing opinions rather than embracing them as opportunities for growth. But true wisdom comes when we open ourselves up to the thoughts and ideas of others. It is through dialogue and respectful disagreement that we refine our understanding and move closer to a deeper, more nuanced view of the world. Reclaiming wisdom also requires courage. The courage to stand up for what we believe in, even when it's unpopular, and the courage to question the status quo. The modern world is full of distractions and pressures to conform, to follow the latest trends, or to chase the approval of others. It takes courage to resist these forces and to follow a path of integrity and self-discovery. Wisdom is not about being afraid to be wrong or to fail. It's about embracing vulnerability and learning from our mistakes. The road to wisdom is not easy, and it often requires us to go against the grain, to speak out against injustice, and to challenge the false narratives that are often presented to us. But it is through this courage that we find true strength and clarity. Finally, reclaiming wisdom means committing to personal growth and self-mastery. Wisdom is not just about knowing more, it's about becoming more. It's about developing the emotional intelligence to navigate relationships with grace and the intellectual capacity to engage with complex ideas thoughtfully. It's about living in a way that reflects your highest values, choosing actions that align with your deepest beliefs, and constantly striving to be a better version of yourself. True wisdom is a reflection of the person we are becoming, one who is grounded, compassionate, and capable of seeing the world with clarity and understanding. Reclaiming wisdom in today's world is not easy, but it is essential. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, we must recognize that the answers to life's most profound questions are not found in the quick, superficial fixes that dominate our culture. They are found in the slow, deliberate work of cultivating knowledge, self-awareness, and personal growth. By embracing these values and dedicating ourselves to the pursuit of wisdom, we can begin to change the narrative, to live lives that are rich with meaning and understanding. and to contribute to a society that values depth, reflection, and genuine knowledge. As we come to the final part of this journey, we must reflect on the profound power of wisdom and its potential to transform our lives. Reclaiming wisdom is not just an intellectual exercise. It's a call to action, a challenge to live more thoughtfully and intentionally in a world that often seems to value noise over substance. True wisdom lies not in knowing all the answers, but in understanding the complexities of life and choosing to engage with them in a way that reflects our deepest values and highest aspirations. The modern world often makes it easy to get lost in the distractions that surround us. From the constant bombardment of notifications to the endless pursuit of superficial success, it's easy to forget what truly matters. Yet, in the midst of this noise, there is a deep and powerful wisdom that has the potential to guide us through even the most chaotic of times. But to access this wisdom, we must first learn to silence the distractions and focus on what truly matters: our inner growth, our relationships with others, and our understanding of the world around us. The process of reclaiming wisdom is not an overnight endeavor. It requires ongoing commitment and dedication. It's about choosing day by day to prioritize depth over superficiality, thoughtfulness over immediacy, and reflection over reaction. Wisdom is not something that can be acquired in a single moment or a quick fix. It's a lifelong pursuit that requires patience, humility, and the willingness to confront difficult truths about ourselves and the world. But in this pursuit, we find meaning and purpose, and ultimately, the kind of life that is rich with depth and fulfillment. In the face of adversity and uncertainty, wisdom offers us the strength to persevere. When we encounter challenges, whether personal or societal, it is our wisdom that helps us navigate them with grace and resilience. Rather than reacting impulsively or getting swept up in the noise around us, we learn to pause, reflect, and approach the situation with clarity and understanding. Wisdom gives us the ability to see the bigger picture, to recognize that our current struggles are but a small part of a much larger journey, and that each challenge is an opportunity for growth. At the heart of wisdom lies a deep sense of self-awareness. To live wisely is to know yourself deeply, to understand your own strengths and weaknesses, your desires and fears. It means being able to step back from the chaos of the world and reflect on your actions, your motivations, and your beliefs. This kind of self-awareness allows us to make more informed decisions, to choose actions that are aligned with our values, and to cultivate relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and understanding. When we are self-aware, we are less likely to be swayed by external pressures or the opinions of others. Instead, we are able to live authentically, guided by our own sense of purpose and direction. In a world that often rewards instant gratification, wisdom challenges us to embrace patience and perseverance. It teaches us that the most meaningful things in life, love, personal growth, deep connection, and true success, are not achieved overnight. They require time, effort, and a willingness to face setbacks along the way. Wisdom encourages us to stay the course, even when the path is difficult or unclear, knowing that the rewards of true fulfillment are worth the wait. The true power of wisdom lies in its ability to transform not just our individual lives, but the world around us. When we live wisely, we inspire others to do the same. Our actions speak louder than words, and by living in alignment with our values, we create a ripple effect that extends to those around us. Wisdom allows us to build stronger, more meaningful relationships, to approach conflicts with compassion and understanding, and to contribute to the collective good in a way that is both impactful and enduring. As we reflect on the importance of reclaiming wisdom in today's world, it's essential to recognize that the journey is ongoing. Wisdom is not a destination, but a process, one that we must commit to every day. It requires us to continue learning, to seek out new perspectives, and to stay open to growth.